What's up, board game people? This is a bit of a slow week for the news, but I do have a featured story of the week I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on. So, a little something new. Lots of game announcements this week, and some games getting very close to backers' doors. Before we start, I don't get any money from game publishers for making my videos. I make them so we can all stay up to date on the hobby we love. If I get something wrong or we disagree about something, let's talk in the comments. So, as for what's live on crowdfunding, well, this is a bit awkward. I only really am following one campaign closely that's live on crowdfunding right at this moment. Tainted Grail is entering their last week with almost $3 million in funding, and they're revealing more and more upgrades to the game each day. The latest was a standalone 2 to 3 hour scenario. Harrow County launched on Kickstarter this week, so did Frozen Frontier. Heart of Ice launched on Gamefound, and Temple of Horrors is nearing the end of their campaign on Gamefound. Coming up, we have Project EOS Rise, Barbarian Kingdoms, and Wonderland's War. I also missed the reprint and expansion of Deep Madness that's happening this month on Kickstarter as well. This is one I'll be for sure covering. Mind MGMT has given us a quick shipping update, and the games are getting really close to their destinations. In Australia and New Zealand, they should be shipping out this week. In Asia, they're shipping now. In the EU, they land on October 15th. In the UK, they land on the 22nd, Canada on the 25th, and in the US, the containers are clearing customs now. For League of Dungeoneers, your next place to explore will be their Discord. They've opened up an official Discord for the game, but Kickstarter updates will remain their primary means of communication. If you want to join their Discord, check the update linked in the video description below. ISS Vanguard has released a shipping report number 2. The EU hub has sent out 98% of parcels. Australia are shipping off the last few packages now. Asia will be starting shipping soon. The UK is still waiting for the ship to dock. Canada will be shipping soon. For the US, the first containers have arrived and the last containers are not far behind. Shipping will start soon. They've added a few new items to the Pledge Manager for Wave 2. The Close Encounters box is stocked full of mission equipment and lander miniatures to help further visualize the game. It's now available as a separate item if you didn't have access to it before. It's all fluff, but more minis are usually welcome. Final Girls Series 1 Wave 1 shipping is underway and has been hit by some delays. In Asia, the freight is complete and they'll be shipping soon. In the US and Canada, the containers arrived at port as expected. Some got flagged for customs hold, which means they'll take additional time to get to the hub once they clear. They need all the containers at Quartermaster Logistics before they can begin shipping. Quartermaster Logistics will be sending out shipping notifications and address confirmations soon. In the UK, the ship should hit port on the 13th. In the EU, they're showing a 30-plus day delay, and they're not really sure why, so they're checking into it. It's a mystery for now. Australia and New Zealand shipping is underway. The pre-production copy of Series 2 has arrived as well. The big box storage is looking great with the VCR on top as the icing on the cake. The Pledge Manager is now open for Dungeons of Doria. The €5 EU discount for Kickstarter backers will come out of the pledge cost, not the shipping, as it was the only way to show it in Gamefound. Late backing is available. An update for Nova Aestas Renaissance has been published. This week, they're announcing that all stretch goals for the games will be included with Wave 1 content, giving a full experience with Wave 1. They're hard at work on the translations for Wave 1 now. Wave 2 is planned by the end of 2023. This update spotlights the Chimera and gives us shots of the game laid out on a table to be played. It's looking quite nice. They'll be back in mid-October with a report from their time at Spiel. Dungeon Universalis completed their run on Kickstarter, coming in with around €375,000 and unlocking all stretch goals. The campaign is now delivering 27 classes and 35 races to choose from. They wanted to give a big thank you to all the backers and supporters, and they'll be back in November with the Pledge Manager if all goes well. Congrats to the entire Dun team. Have a great break and come back strong. CMON has announced on one of their live stream updates that Cthulhu Death May Die Season 3 will be hitting Kickstarter soon. Maybe perhaps even in time for spooky season. One can only hope. Season 3 will be a standalone and not require any of Season 2 or Season 1 content to work. No word on if the first 2 seasons will be available in the Kickstarter. Also, it's best to temper expectations as Eric Lang will likely not be involved in this on any level. Please, please, please don't fumble this one, CMON. There's a trailer available for Season 3. You can also find the Kickstarter launch page linked in the video description. A Final Fantasy VII Remake board game and a Chocobo's Dungeon board game were announced via small signs at Essen. Not much is currently known about either game, other than that Chocobo Dungeon seems to be coming in 2023, and the Final Fantasy VII Remake board game will be soon, whatever that means. I know I'm interested, but I want more information before I get too excited. For Chronicles of Drunagor, shipping is ongoing. The US shipping is pretty well complete. In the EU and UK, shipping will begin shortly. They're also creating a better guide and video explaining exactly how to use the update pack, as their initial instructions were a bit unclear. There's a whole section of their update dedicated to foreteller issues. If you're having any trouble, check that first. Tamashii, Chronicle of Ascend, is giving us a look at the new player boards, and they're looking amazing. Maybe a little wasted space, but a little space sacrificed for style isn't always a bad thing. They're also showing off some of the prototypes that they're about to send out to testers. They're thinking the Pledge Manager will open on the second week of November. And now for our story of the week. Panic Roll and Townsfolk Tussle is back, baby. It's been a while since we've heard any news from Eureka Springs. But even though the sheriff is still missing, nothing stops the press. Panic Roll has issued an update with a timeline on when we'll see Townsfolk Tussle and all its little brother and sister expansions hitting Kickstarter. Things have been progressing well for the game, and they're excited to share what's next for the rowdy band of townsfolk. The new campaign will be launching in February of 2023. The next few weeks and months are sure to be filled with updates and sneak peeks into what they're working on, but today we're getting a little information on what each expansion is bringing to the table. Ominous skies. The forecast is always gloomy at Sprinkle Falls, the climate dismal and the atmosphere depressing. This is a permanent feature of the little lakeside town, and some of the citizens are fed up with it. Some of their citizens have taken it upon themselves to migrate from Sprinkle Falls to Eureka Springs. They're searching for a better life. Unfortunately, they don't all have the best of intentions. Eerie neighbors. Ever wonder about that little eerie town over there, east of Eureka Springs? That's Misty Bluff, and it's best you keep your distance. Something's off about the locals there. Bort, you remember him, the real nasty one with the cleaver? He hails from there. So now you know not to trust the smiling faces and helping hands that Misty Bluffs offers. Ever since the sheriff's death, more and more Misty Bluffers have been slinking their way into town. It's up to you to let them not get too comfortable. And tough times for the peddler. Finally, this last expansion will see you starting from scratch. You'll remove all of the peddler gear and replace them with 30 garbage bin goods. Don't worry, the gear pile will get bigger and bigger soon enough. When you complete tasks on the peddler's to-do list, he'll find something nice to throw on the pile. These tasks will have you digging, scavenging, and repairing to unlock more gear. This expansion adds difficulty that will force each member of the party to find their place. They'll take on a role that will grant them powerful abilities. The more gear you unlock, the more roles available to the party. You could be a farmer, a clown, or even a glory hog. Panic Roll will keep the presses hot and the updates rolling the closer we get to February. Be sure to follow along here as we'll be giving you any updates as they become available. Shipping for Nemesis Lockdown Language Editions is taking a little longer than expected, and in their update, Awaken Realms is apologizing. The EU hub has sent out 86% of their parcels. The Canadian hub is still finishing up one project before Nemesis shipping will begin. They're hoping that'll happen soon. Forsaken started off their post-project updates with a nice long one. They begin by showing off their initial timeline and milestone list. Then they go into detail on each milestone. Right now, they're planning to be 100% delivered by December of 2023. The manufacturing and proofs process will start in February of 2023. The pledge manager is expected to open in November of 2022. Now that they've gone over their process, hopefully we'll be seeing some development and content sneak peeks in the future. Isaac pushed out a small Frosthaven update to let us know that the containers are on the water. 13 containers have been shipped, with another 13 more booked to ship out later this month. EU and UK backers should see theirs on the water after these waves, but sadly freight booking for those destinations was backed up and they're awaiting their turn. They're also presenting the voted upon names for the icons. These are going to be used for communications and to help if replacements are needed. For retail releases this week, there's really only one that caught my eye. Star Wars The Clone Wars, a Pandemic Systems game, has been released for around $60. So that's it for the news. I told you it was a slow week. I'm sure next week will come to haunt me soon enough, though. We'll be back later this week with a campaign guide, hopefully our month in review, and anything else I can whip up in the meantime. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Thanks to everyone watching and commenting. Have a great night and play something fun.